Applaus. Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to FMX 2023. I make it short. I'm the guy who later hands out the microphone for very interesting questions. And these will be followed by very interesting answers. And now I present you the beauties, the team of the beauty of a beautiful short film. Welcome Marc, welcome Noel, welcome Alex, welcome Pascal. There's some more production people, I take it, in the audience with you guys, but we didn't have enough chairs to bring them all on the stage. What I think is beautiful that they decided to sit and talk and tell about their short film. And that's it from my side. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for this beautiful film. The beauties.
The beauties. Thank you, Sven. It's great to be here. It's a really nice opportunity to be here on the stage. Usually we're sitting down here and watching the big talks, and now we're here on that stage. It's pretty epic. So, first of all, thanks FMX for letting us be here and talk about this little film called The Beauty. My name is Pascal. I'm the director of this film. These are my lovely teammates. This is Aleksandra Todorovic. He's one of the two producers. Tina West, I think, is also here somewhere. Noel Vincent, he was taking care about the rigging and part of the animation. And Marc, Angele, he's the VFX Supervisor. I think before we dive in to the insides of this film, I think we will just watch the film, I think.
Go on. Dive in. Forget about it. Think about thriving. At least for a bit. There are good sides to it. Don't despair. It lasts forever. Here, now, and everywhere. It's light, solid, and viable, and even on its own, it's viable. From the bottom of the sea to the blossoms of a tree, every creature's free, and so are we. Everything's fine, no bother. Think about the earth. The wind. And the water. Don't be silly. It's not our duty. So we better quietly enjoy this. Beauty.
yeah, that's it. 2019, we finished that piece. Now we have 2023, and it's still a topic, unfortunately. And a lot of people ask me how I came up with this idea, and also a lot of people said I steal it from hybrids, but that's not true. No, unfortunately, they published their film right just, I think, a week before we went shooting, and with everything set and stuff. So, but in fact, it started everything with that picture, late 2017. And I don't know why it triggered me, because it's just like awful to watch, or because I just love nature, being outside in the mountains, or because I was in Portugal at the beach at this moment, but somehow it triggered me, and it was the time where we had to came up with diploma ideas, and I started to draw this picture with that stingray with the flip-flop leash on the back. And yeah, I kind of stuck with it, and also like my classmates were also appealed by that picture. So I went further from this stingray, and I just doodled around, and I tried to mix like plastic and creatures, and as you see on the top, and yeah, just played around with characters. And in the end, I ended up with these guys, with my 4.5 creatures. Yeah, but at that state, I had this creature. I was really a fan of my drawings, and thought, wow, that's a cool diploma idea. But what I needed is a story, and in the beginning, I was desperately finding a story like love story or hero journey, and you know, some philosophic stuff, and then BBC came out with the documentary series The Blue Planet, and I was like, yeah, why not a documentary about what if plastic would be integrated in our ocean? So thanks David Attenborough for that. So yeah, and then I went a little bit further, and I drew the storyboard for that piece. But still in that state, I wasn't sure if the concept is working or not, because the goal we had, the concept just would work if everything would be in hyper photorealism. So I started with an animatic, just to get comfortable with the film. This is a really early state of the beauty. It can't.
It lasts forever without a care. Which problems? Just assumed norms. It all seems okay without any bother. Don't be silly, it's not your duty. Think about the earth, the wind, and the water. So just be quiet and enjoy this beauty.
Yeah, as you hear, the poem was changing a lot as well. So yeah, and I was in my chamber and doodling around and playing around and was looking for moods and like the image quality, and yeah, that's as I said, it was clear it need to be photorealistic and not a kind of cartoony thing, because otherwise the whole concept is not working. Yeah, so and then went a step further and did the first key visual. And with that package, with an animatic, with this character and my idea, I stepped to my good friends, which we were working before this project during the study. And I was kindly asking you guys if you want to join this crazy journey. So we'll hand over to Ale, and he will explain a little bit about the processing part of that diving thing.
Yeah, hello everyone. So Pascal didn't have to work on his own, of course, on this film. So we joined this journey. So we joined this journey with our beautiful team, as you can see, and one of the team is sitting also in the audience. And yeah, for example, Finn in the first row, or Tina, my co-producer, also in the middle in the audience. And early in the beginning, we were thinking, okay, how to produce this beautiful short, if we have to shoot on location, for example, underwater, or if we have to shoot in a swimming pool. And so we did a lot of research and also, some test shootings, as you can see, in some indoor pools around Stuttgart. And we wanted to improve some important topics, for example, how to communicate underwater, and also to see how the plastic behaves and how big the creatures should be in the end, and also if we can shoot the whole movie underwater, because as you can imagine, it also brings some difficulties, and in the end everything turned out very well. So we said, okay, we wanted to shoot really on location, because we also were thinking if we can maybe shoot in a water tank. So all of you maybe know the famous one in Malta, for example, which is built along the island coast. So we also contacted some water tanks and talked about the budget, but in the end it was way too expensive for a student, low budget project. So we decided to search really on locations, and for example in Egypt or the Azores, or also we were thinking about Bali, but it was way too far away, and also regarding the sustainability reason, we decided, okay, that's not a good idea. Also for this topic, and then we ended up to shoot in Egypt. So this was our preferred spot, and the underwater beauty in the Red Sea convinced us. And the jackpot in the end was that we found a diving school, a German diving school in Egypt, and we contacted them and pitched our project, and they loved it. So they said, okay, they want to accompany our whole journey and also the production on site. And it was also very good to have experienced divers with us on the journey, and also, regarding the safety spot and also the secure, because, to shoot really underwater is, as you can imagine, very dangerous. But they showed us beautiful spots and also reefs. And it was a very cool experience to shoot really underwater. And some more pictures. And as you can see, we also tried to shot the trash carpet, so the last pack shot, really on location in Egypt. But as you can see, we had a lot of real props, trash props, and but in the end we decided to not shoot it to shot it in Egypt, because we don't want it to pollute all the sea. And on the right corner you can see that's a nature pool it's close by Stuttgart, and we tried to shot it there. But as you can see, also the reflections of the nature, that didn't work out in the end, because you can't, it didn't work out. And and then we came up with the idea to do some location scouting, and Pascal came up with the idea to shoot in some nature pools, because as you can see, this is in Saint-Malo in France. And it was very good because it's in the sea, so you don't have the reflections of the outstanding nature, and it's also very secure. And yeah, to give you a first impression of the shoot, you can see here you can see the making of.
Before we dive into the modeling and rigging and animation and lighting and shading and process, the fact that Egypt and also France were just littered by trash at the beach was actually a good thing, because we could collect all this rubbish for sort of digital recycling. So we did some photogrammetry of all the trash stuff which we used for the last shot, and also for some props in the scenes. Yeah, this was actually what we used for this last scene, this trash which we found, and now we will dig into the cool stuff.
So, hello everyone. I will talk about the creatures and the creature development a little bit, starting with the moray here. We were really lucky to have Finn on board, who was doing the sculpting and modeling for the moray, and also helped out, I think, on nearly every asset that we modeled. So, thanks for that. When the modeling was done, I took over the rigging part, and we were also really lucky that we were able to film a swimming moray. Normally, they're always stuck underneath a stone, just having the head stuck out. But yeah, we were lucky to find one swimming, and we used that to put our rigged moray next to it, and then we could do a first animation test to see how far we came and where the problems are. And this is the result. It turned out to work already good enough, so we could use the rig, I think, right out of the box. Yeah, but we also noticed that this particular movement is too smooth for the animation in the end, because we want to have it more rigid, more to get a feeling of the real material, of the rubber material of the tire. So in the end, we dialed it back a little bit for the final animation. Next was our pufferfish, or bubblefish, how we call it. Especially the two yellow references were really, it turned out to be really useful for us in animation. So, but yeah, also for the modeling. Here you can see like where we started with a low proxy mesh on the left, and then a more detailed version. Yeah. So here's a little model progression. Yeah, I needed to sculpt every bubble so it looks like a bubble wrap foil or wrap.
Yeah, he complained a lot.
Yeah, it was quite a lot of them. And Finn, for example, he helped because in the end we noticed we need to put extra geometry representing the air inside of the bubble. So it wasn't, we needed to have like physical based shading on it. So Marc was complaining and then we...
Everybody was complaining.
Yeah, we manually put a lot of spheres into every single bubble.
But it was worth it.
And when I started to rig it and animate it, I had no idea how to actually to solve this with linear skinning or with normal skinning. So I looked into simulation and how to do it and learned Vellum and Houdini for it. Here you can see what I did for the fins. I looked at the reference and I noticed it's like doing this crazy movement. So I thought, okay, maybe we could just animate it in Maya and then bring it over to Houdini and see what a cloth simulation would do. And yeah, that's how we did it in the end. And here are some simulation tests. It was really new for me, so a lot of us is just crazy playing around and inflating like so many different bubble fishes. But yeah, it was so fun. So we just put it into something like a outtake compilation, which is coming here. Yeah, that's the last one. And yeah, in the end, it looked like this. Of course, without the shading. And yeah, for the jelly bags, how we call it, we also started with a low proxy mesh, which Pascal did, and then we get closer to the final mesh. I was already a little bit more familiar with Houdini and Vellum, so I noticed, okay, maybe we could also do the same, animate it in Maya, then bring it over to Houdini and put a cloth simulation on it. So that's what we did. On the bottom here, you can see like the animation, and then we have 3 different variations of cloth sims. And yeah, I think that's from my side. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so during the shoot, we collected a lot of reference material underwater. So we had always like a little bag with us with the different elements. And actually, in most of the plates, we just put in then later the planned material. And it turned out to be very important for us, since it's just highly useful to have later this good reference when you sit in front of the computer and try to reproduce this for real. And some of the very important things underwater is that the how reflection is reacting is completely different than in air. For instance, no, I just tried to stop it at one point. Here, it's not working. Okay.
You could go over.
No, it doesn't matter. I have later enough references. You just see that water is reflecting from a way steeper angle, like reflecting 100% from a way steeper angle than in air. So when you like just the Fresnel effect, the guys who are familiar with shading, like the Fresnel effect is super, super strong underwater. And this was just a very useful thing to see it for real and to feel it for real. Like first time where I recognized it was looking, for instance, at Pascal's goggles and see that I don't see his eyes since the reflection was so strong. Yeah, and then later in front of our computer, we just started with some very rough underwater CG tests. And this is like things which I told you with the reflection. It's a bit fast, but we just try to find a way to render it, since the modern renderer all made for rendering in air as a medium and not on the water. So we had to use sometimes very weird IOR values from like below 1. Yeah, and then we just started with trying to build the underwater environment, like having this caustics reflecting on the floor, or just different shading tests to get used to this new render environment. And then during the look-dev process, as you can see, like this is just a collection of different stages, and you see it's a tricky thing with this transparent creatures, since we always had to deal with this reflection thing. How strong should the reflection be, and how soft can it be, and how easy or how good is then the character readable? For instance, at the beginning, it was just a very rough process to find out the different values, and here it's almost at the end, but you can't see very good the eyes and the mouth shape of the creature, so it's not very readable. And we had then to figure out a way to make it less transparent, more opaque, more like the final results down here with more dirt, so we can read then our character better. And as Noel mentioned before, you see like the bubbles are always kind of different, and this was super tricky to find out, since they have like the normal plastic material and have some air included into the bubbles, which is reacting differently than the plastic on the water. So we have the 3 different mediums. And then it turned out we need really some geometry for it to represent the air. And so Finn had to remodel each bubble, which Noel modeled before, so that we have like a different surface in between the things. And then just at the end, you see it turned out to look nicer and nicer. And this is the final result here. But in a studio environment, not on the water, and some just very rough blow-up tests, since we had to animate all these maps were driving the bubbles. So it was a very rough test without textures, and just see how it's looking. For the opaque characters, like our flip-flops and the moray, it was actually more straightforward, classic look-dev process. So just getting models and painting in some more detail, and then of course like tweaking a bit the shaders, but we didn't have to do a lot of back and forth with this new underwater environment. For the whale, it was kind of different, the same process as with the bubblefish, just dealing a lot with different transparent values and roughness values and IOR values, how good we can see like which material, and then we wanted to bring in some structure and detail where whales have for real. So we just thought like it's a nice thing to have, I don't know the English word, like the stuff which whales have on their skin.
Shells?
But because have it here represented as dirt, and it turned out that it's nice, the characters are looking then as they would live for a very long time on the water, so it looked like a bit older. But actually the whole process was, or the trickiest process was, again, to find this way of transparency and opaqueness, and painting different maps for different IOR values. And as well, here we had some modeling problems. So we figured out that it's on these transparent characters, it's super, super important to model them as physical correct as possible. So this was an early model where we just did some look dev or key visual tests. And as you can see, it looks like very glassy, very hard material, and it doesn't look really like plastic. And this is exactly the same texture, the same shader, everything is the same, but it's just the thickness of the wall of the bottle. And this was actually a very long process together again with Finn to find these values, and it was like, it just don't look right, and we had to go back and just try to find their right values. And here again, you can see the final results on the top of the whale. And we always rendered it for the look dev process in a studio environment, so in a neutral environment, since the underwater behavior is so different than the normal environment. It was a bit tricky for me to see which effect is happening during the underwater rendering or like during my shading adjustments. So I always rendered like both versions to have it on a known controlled environment, like a studio environment, and then in the underwater environment. On the jelly bags, we had the same issue with the thickness. So to have there the right value, we first tried to simulate that in Houdini, getting a cache from Noel. But the problem there was that the simulation was not exact enough to to drive two different geometries, like the inside and the outside. So there's a lot of intersections there. And then we find a way on this way where we simulated just one geometry and generated the thickness during render time with a shading thing. So this is like actually at the end working very well. And there we could drive this thickness with a different texture map to have like more dense elements, like for instance here on the bottom or the top there, than on the side. For lighting our scenes, we had a lighting rig where we used in most of the scenes. It just started with a ocean displacement surface, so it's just like an animated ocean map on a surface. Then below we had a huge cube with just an environment fog material on it. And above of the surface, we had a HDRI sky, but only emitting light above on the water surface or the water surface. And then we used a directional light for like the sun highlights, and we had a very important gobo attached to the sunlight. So this gobo, as this spotlight with the gobo texture, was driven by this texture we shot in Egypt on the bottom of our hotel pool. So this turned out to one of the most important assets for lighting. And then we just blurred it depending on how deep. So I guess I made like 4 different textures, like for the different deepness of where our shot should be. So it was more blurry on the deeper shots than on the closer to the surface shots. Yeah, so that's actually the lighting rig. For the full CG shots and for the mixed shots, we just skipped like different elements and only used the gobo or only used the sunlight to match the plate a bit better. And you can see here like a little compositing breakdown where we actually on the full CG shots, it's quite straightforward. In compositing, we just did some gradients and some overlaid particles where we shot in Egypt as well. But the compositing-wise, the more complex shot was, of course, the shots with the coral foreground, where we had to integrate our characters into it. And as you can see here, very often we took out the normal on the water, like the blue elements. It was very easy keyable since blue and blue screens. And just replaced it with a full CG element from our side to control a bit more the fall-off or to put in some creatures in there. Yes, and I give this back to Ale, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and besides all the moving pictures, we had also a lot of a huge audio production. So our composer Alex Wolf, he composed a beautiful song, as you already heard, and we had an orchestra production in the Babelsberger Orchestra, and it was a very cool experience. And also we had a huge voiceover acting or a voiceover casting. And in the beginning, we thought maybe we want to have a famous voice or a famous actor. And as Pascal always says, Jason Momoa didn't respond on Instagram because he's Aquaman. Yeah, but we did a huge casting, and in the end, we came up with Charlie Gardner, and he also did a very good job. So yeah, he was the voice actor, and. Yeah, and we also, now comes the fun part comes. We had a huge festival journey, and we won a lot of prizes, as you can see now. And yeah, for example, also the VS Award, or we were nominated for the BAFTA and all the Siggraph, and yeah, we won a lot of awards, up to an Oscar in the end, or a Student Academy Award. And we didn't expect this in the beginning, and we were so thankful, and yeah, it was really a cool journey in the end. And yeah, we wanted to thank you for listening, and if you want to reach out, you can grab a beer with us afterwards and talk about the project. And if you would like to contact us, please scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And of course, they're not running away straight away because it's now the time for your questions. So there's the first one. Very good.
Hi, thank you very much for the talk. It's very inspiring. What would you say during the production? Which creature or character was the most challenging? And this question doesn't go to directly one person, but to all person.
I think we are all on the same page here because it was the bubblefish, right? It was just one single shot. I'm just answering here. Sorry, if
no, that's
just
right.
jump in if you want. But yeah, it was one shot, and we spent so much time just for one shot. So in the end, I guess we could just hand sculpted everything.
Always said but it's just 10 seconds in the movie, and yeah, he spent a lot of time in it, but it was worth it. Yeah, this was the most difficult.
Yeah, I mean, modeling was, for me at least, a little bit painful with the bubbles. Then I needed to look into simulation, which was totally new. So this was also hard. And then there was all this refraction difficulties.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I think on all departments.
Really, on every stage, it was the most complicated character. But I think like he's a very visual one, so we're using it very often as a key visual, since it was worth to spend so much time on that.
Digital production. It's on the cover of digital production.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Another question? What? Oh, there. Oh, this is a long one. You have to pass it on, please.
Hello, thank you very much.
Hi.
Very beautiful movie. I initially thought that everything was made via CGI. So why did you make the decision to also incorporate real shots in the movie and composite everything and not just CGI?
I think that decision was made in the beginning. There were multiple reasons. The first one was wanted to go diving, and I just watched. I was just like I mean, Hybrids did it, and they did a really good job on that. But when I watched coral reefs with all these colors and these details and stuff, I was like, I don't want to spend 3 years on that film. Well, it turned out 2 years, but it was just like a rational reason that I think to achieve this realistic look, I think that we have proper realistic plates in the background. Diving is cool.
Yeah.
And
actually, I have the feeling like now I would repeat it or do it always like that. So because it was very important for me at least, it was the first time I went diving, and it was super important to be once underwater by my own. So I really, I mean, for instance, to feel or to see how big this environment fog is on the water. So how close your view is when you are there, or what I didn't expect was how many particles are floating around underwater. And then
IOR values.
and the IOR values, and like all the reference we shot there was really like one of the, I would say that's like the most important thing why our movie is looking like it's looking now. Without that references and without that feeling of being on the water, I guess it wouldn't be the same. So I always would recommend to do some research, at least if you are building something in CG or you're planning to build something in CG, do your research and go diving or go whatever you plan to do, at least. Yeah.
And it's also about what's easier, right? I think it's still easier to just film it if you can.
Yes,
just grab a camera, film it, and then you're done. But if you need to do it in CG, you need to render every shot with it, basically. And it's also work to produce every asset. So maybe it's even easier to just shoot it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you. Hi.
Yeah, once again, congratulations for the amazing work. Great to see the process. The nerd stuff, the CG stuff is super fun, obviously, but you made the film for a reason, right? A quite serious reason, and you showed the photo that inspired you. So since you also traveled a lot and winning festivals and everything, would love to hear a little bit in terms of like what the actual impact of the film was. If you have some stories to tell, I guess it probably had a personal impact on your, like, let's say, perspective on looking at environmental issues, right? But would love to hear if you also met, like if people told you about the impact the film had on them, and if you have stories to share there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, with this festival journey, we met a lot of interesting people, not filmmaker people, also scientists and people who are really interested in sustainability. But yeah, it's true that we haven't a great like footprint on that piece because it always carried with us because we flew to Egypt and we really tried to not like fly everywhere around, and we decided to drive to France and not fly to Bali and shoot this plastic there. And as well, when the whole festival season started, I really took care that I go by train to Cannes and go to the festivals by train and not flying. And yeah, this is a really good question, and yeah, I carried that with the whole process of the film, and yeah, I needed to do some excuses by myself, but because I'm like I really taking care in my everyday life about not using plastic as much as I can, or recycling or upcycling, whatever, and yeah, it's still around me in my life.
And for me, like that, our movie was so successful. I'm super grateful because that's why it was shown on so many festivals. And if it's shown on a festival, it's like now people see it and it goes through the world, so people like it, they share it, and then there are so many people seeing the movie in the end, and then they think about it maybe. So I just hope that has the impact on the people, that they just see it and change maybe something in the end.
Yeah, that the message is that the message is transferred to the audience, and yeah.
I also refused invitations of festivals because they were on the Spitzbergen, so for 3 days flying to Spitzbergen.
Wonderful, yeah, and I think it really does transport the message, and you really think about things. So that's a great achievement.
And I think the whole film is about. I mean, I take care of this stuff, but I'm not I wouldn't call me an activist, but I think through this film, I don't want to point on anybody, but it's like a silent message that I wanted to achieve.
Any other question? Well, I put it one in. At Film Academy, you can study, of course, animation, which is the classical startup, but you can also do producing, Alex. I don't know when you came to the team, but what was the greatest challenge for you to jump into this kind of pool of production?
I would say to combine everything. So, for example, my background is live action producing. So I started at Film Academy to produce live action, and then I specialize in animation. And I think to organize everything and to combine CG and live action, and of course also the shoot, because it was the first shoot underwater really, and also so it was not the first shoot abroad, but yeah, to combine everything and yeah, to make it safe for the team, of course, and to get everyone safe to Egypt and also backwards. And yeah, I would say this would be the biggest challenge.
All right, what kind of tracking software, scheduling software did you use for this production?
Nuke.
Well, no, that was the compositing software. Now, tracking the shots as a producer to
okay.
organize the boys.
Yeah. We tried.
Tina and Alex had to organize them, right?
Yeah, that's true. So we started to, we wanted to try shotgun. So yeah, it worked out, yeah, more or less, I would say. And we also tried to do everything analog, so with a lot of lists, Excel, Google Sheets, and to combine everything and to track the shots and the timings.
All right. And you produced this entirely within the Film Academy, right? Not at home office and stuff like that, really at the Academy. And how big was the team altogether? I mean, we saw the credits, but we couldn't really count them down. How many people were kind of involved?
I would say around 20.
20?
Yeah,
there were,
more or less.
Yeah, but I would say the core team was actually quite small. I would say like, I meant the core, like the CG team, but we have a DOP, the David Dinze, which was very important, and Finn, of course, was very important.
Lucas.
Tina, Lucas. But we had a lot of helping hands then. But actually, we try always to keep the team as small as possible, I guess, right? It was a thing. Yeah.
Any other questions? I would have a last one. Oh, over there. Very good.
Yeah, thank you for your great presentation and for the awesome film. I have a really short question. Did you shoot lens grid underwater?
We had one with us, so we had it in mind to test it. But actually it was just like logistically too complicated to always carry something with us. And at the end we never used it, right?
No, we printed on some foam thing, and we did the math that foam is going up all the time. So it was just like hanging there all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, the good thing is, since we are on the water, it doesn't matter if the track is 100% good or not. So, I mean, actually, we tracked everything in Nuke, and sometimes the track was super poor. And when we had some tracking tests, it was like, okay, this looks like shit. But later with the animations, it was working pretty well, so it was not a big problem for us. Yeah.
Thanks.
I would like to ask you, how long did it take for you to learn Houdini to do these shots? And were you the only one, or were there other in the team?
So we had Lucas, who did the flip-flop swarm in the beginning. I think he was already used to it, or he knew Houdini, but I didn't. And good question. I think it took a few weeks. Yeah, but it's hard to say because it was just, I mean, we had time, so that wasn't the big issue. And then it was like, okay, not good enough. And I mean, you saw the progression, right? So, yeah, I would say a few weeks.
But it's good to have a project like this to learn a software. In my case, I did the...
And I still don't know it, so I stay with Maya. But yeah.
Yeah.
A few weeks is still impressive.
Thank you.
Just a small question. Did you shoot an HDRI underwater to use it later?
We had a sponsor from Reka.
Recam, yeah.
Reka. But it turned out just to have a playing tool underwater. If you see the last shot from the making of, it was
we just used it as a making of camera.
And it was just like it was not the set one. It was the
model before
Instagram thing, and it was just a JPEG, so it wasn't really usable for HDR. But I bought a package, but wasn't usable as well.
Yeah, I used it for the look-dev turntables.
For you, yeah.
So we found some online underwater things, but we just use it for the look-dev. In our final shots, there is no HDRI involved, except the sky thing, but this is a classical HDRI.
I don't see any more hands here. Well, what's next? Alex, Pascal, Noel, Marc. You are freelancing working right now, but you're still in communication?
Yeah, we did a bunch of jobs, advertisement jobs together. We are all freelance. She's working at Woodblock. And yeah, we're based Zurich or Switzerland and Germany. And in my case, I'm based in Zurich. I do a lot of CG artist stuff as a freelancer, but we together shot a new short documentary with visual effects in the end of the last year, which is now in the editing process. It's going to be like 15-20 minutes short of 3 scientists who try to save the world. Ambitious. Yes, and I do have a trailer on my phone, but it's not for the public. Please don't take any photos.
But actually, it's important to say that we only are able to do this movie because of the beauty, right?
Yeah.
So it's like founded money from the FFA, what is Filmförderanstalt. So
Filmförderanstalt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a part of that, we're kept in contact and we kept in touch. And yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for this beautiful film, for all the team efforts, and for sharing this with us. Thank you very much for coming. The beauty.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And since we have time, I was wondering if we should watch it again.
The whole presentation.
I think we should watch it again, shouldn't we?
Really? I mean, it's in the trailer.
No, let's
yeah, who has the clicker?
Let's see it again.
But I can just like.
Was eigentlich flüssig?
Warte. Ja, wait, warte mal kurz, hör mal auf zu drücken.
Dolby Atmos. DCP.
Wie viel Uhr haben wir denn?
5:06.
Ah, okay. Ja, gut. 5 Minuten.
Ja.
Go on. Dive in. Forget about it. Think about thriving. At least for a bit. There are good sides to it. Don't despair. It lasts forever. Here, now, and everywhere. It's light, solid, and viable, and even on its own, it's viable. From the bottoms of the sea to the blossoms of a tree, every creature's free, and so are we. Everything's fine. No bother. Think about the earth. The wind. And the water. Don't be silly. It's not our duty. So we better quietly enjoy this.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much, Marc, Alex, Noel, and Pascal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy FMX.
All right, and I would like to ask you to quickly leave the room now. Because we have to bring in the next people. And if you want to watch Shelley's Eye Candy, which I can highly recommend, then please just queue up again and come back. But we have to count you at the entrance. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank.
Danke für die Präsentation.